The next big mistake made in meetings, and is, I tell you what, this is an instant recipe for meeting suckiness, is the open floor meeting. It's a meeting where a couple of topics will be given, points will be touched on real briefly, and then the whole thing is just an open floor gripe session, for lack of a better phrase. And everybody gets their say. And you and I both know there's always going to be that one person who's going to commandeer that meeting. Okay? They're going to Shanghai it, they're going to run off with it, and they're going to take it in their direction. You can't have that. That's not a controlled situation. That is a horrible idea for a meeting. Feedback is important. Feedback from your employees and coworkers, absolutely important. The best way I've seen this handled is have your meeting, make sure you hit the pertinent points, and then wrap things up and let them know, okay, as we get ready to close here, does anyone have anything real quick they'd like to touch on? And you go around, get people's input. Most of the time people are going to be like, no. Somebody tries to Shanghai your meeting and run off in a different direction. The facilitator of that meeting has to be strong enough and take control and know when something needs to be touched on or when it doesn't. And if not, you know what? Let's save that for another time. Let's table that idea for right now. We don't really need to discuss that right now. Or why don't you get with me a little bit later and we can discuss this one-on-one. Something to that effect. Because you don't need all your people subjected to this person's opinion in a lot of cases. They have an isolated incident that they want to rehash and go over and drag everybody into. Not necessary. Don't need it. Not going to have it. It's going to... If that's your meeting plan, is an open forum meeting plan, you and your assembly are doomed from the start. It's just the way it is. The final area we'll touch on, as far as how to make your meetings not suck, is the public flogging meeting, if you will. You don't need a public rebuke session for somebody. And what I mean by that is if an individual employee does something wrong, breaks company policy, you don't need to bring everybody together to talk about that incident or to talk about that policy. I got to be honest with you. It's horrible. I've seen it done time and again. The first rule you need to keep yourself keyed into if you're in management: praise publicly and punish privately. Pull that individual aside and counsel with them individually. Okay? Nothing makes you seem like more of a self-important pain in the neck than for you to try and stop the wheels of progress and put everybody else's work on hold so you can bring them all together and talk about this isolated incident. Most people are familiar with company policies. Okay? You bring that person aside individually, talk to them. Because I got to tell you, what happens is the people who aren't involved, they get subjected, they're being subjected to this tongue lashing anyway. And how things need to be done, and this is how we do it here, and on, run down your list while you're really just focusing on one person, but everybody is brought down by this whole meeting, and the rest of the crew sits there going, why do I need to hear this? I am not the one who took a company car out and picked up a paid escort that happened to be an undercover cop. That wasn't me, okay? If you feel it necessary, maybe at your next scheduled meeting, you can touch on how to use company vehicles for official company business. That wouldn't be too bad. But to pull everybody in just to rip on this one person, it's no good. It sucks everybody down. Nobody wants to hear it. So just handle that individually. You don't need a public rebuke of anybody. So those are the big negatives. Okay? Those are what makes meetings suck. Unprepared speaker, the over-inviting host, the open floor meeting, the public rebuke meeting. Get rid of them all. Okay? have a purpose and a point for your meeting. You want to make your meetings not suck? And we all understand some meetings are necessary, okay? You got to have them, unfortunately. Because I got to be honest with you, if it was up to me, well, we would just have no more meetings. You can pass things along to me in memos and I'm just fine. But meetings are there, meetings are necessary. So if you're in charge of a meeting, you're the host, you're the facilitator of a meeting, a couple quick simple things. If it's an informational meeting, make it just that. Get in, give the information, and get out. Move on. People will appreciate it. I would much rather you cover what you have to cover in 10 to 15 minutes, give me the information, and leave, than give me the information mired in stories and anecdotes and irrelevant babble that's going to take an hour and a half long. Give me what I need and get me out of here. Let me get back to work because that's what you hired me for. You hired me to do a job, so let me do that. Okay? Get the information. You know, if there's scheduled meetings, a sales meeting, a marketing meeting, something along those lines, where you're trying to get everybody ready for a weekend, that type of a thing, a simple format. Very simple. 3 easy steps: information, education, motivation. Okay? You start off giving out information. You're advertising whatever the focus promotion is. You give a little bit of education, be it product education, be it process education, talking about company policy, brief stuff. Give it, hit it, move on. Information, education, and the final part is motivation. Whether you're introducing a bonus for people to shoot for, whether it's just words of inspiration and encouragement, trying to get everybody fired up for a promotion or whatever the case is, end on that motivation. Okay, send them out on a high. And if after the motivational portion of the meeting, if it dawns on you that you forgot, oh, I forgot to talk about the company parking policy and how we need to change where people are parking, put it in a memo, put it somewhere where people can find it. Okay? Don't be a buzzkill. Don't harsh their mellow. Don't take any of that away. You got them on a high with the motivation. Let them keep that. Let them take that and run with it. If you need to tell them about the new parking procedures or policies, put it in a memo, stick it on a bulletin board, and let them read it, or mention it to people individually as you see them throughout the day. Don't take away from the good that you've done and pull away some of that motivation by droning on about company policies. Okay? So, information, education, motivation. Pretty simple. All right? Unfortunately, meetings they're a necessary evil in our lives, so you need to make them as good as you can. And for anyone who's viewing this, who has facilitated a meeting that I've attended, I just want you to know specifically that the buzzword bingo and all that stuff, that was not you. It wasn't you, it was the other guy. Especially that spot the miscue thing, that was somebody else, it wasn't you. I can assure you of that, because your meetings, I guarantee you, your meetings left me wanting to create synergy. Bingo. Thanks for joining me for this session. Just another reminder, you can get great tips like this and more in my book, Simple Truths for Selling Cars. The Paint Won't Lick Itself. So check that out on lulu.com. You can punch my name in the search box there, Brad Alexander, and you can find a copy of my book, The Paint Won't Lick Itself, and also Perception is Reality. Another great one. Check those out. And until next time, make sure your meetings do not suck.